Foodie Beauty decided that she wanted to be charitable and feed the homeless. Now, had anybody else done this would have been a beautiful thing. But Chantal, she was wrong for this. She had bought some croissants the day prior. She bought 6. She had 4 left, so she's going to make 4 cheese sandwiches. And later in her live stream, after making these sandwiches, she tells us how much she actually spent on this cheese. This was expensive cheese she gave to the homeless. Disgusting. The price should have never been discussed, but moving on. She's getting ready to make these sandwiches. She doesn't even think to wash her hands, although she insists she had washed her hands earlier. Well, how much earlier? We never got that determined. So she then is getting the croissants out the box, setting them on the counter. She never wiped the counter off. Now, I know you all agree with me on this one. If you're going to prep something directly on your counter, say you're going to make a sandwich and for whatever reason you don't set your bread on a plate or whatever, you set it on the counter, you're going to bleach or disinfect your counter first, especially if you have a cat in your house that walks on your counters. She feeds her cat on the counter, mind you, and she does not wipe this counter before making these sandwiches. So that's strike 2 already. No hand washing, and she didn't sanitize the surface she's preparing this food on. Now that's all fine and dandy if you're the one that's going to eat the food, but don't do that to somebody else. So then she is cutting up the cheese. She stops to pet the cat, who is just inches from these sandwiches. Petting the cat. Does she wash her hands after petting the cat to go back to make the sandwiches? Of course not. So now we have cat hair I love cats too. But I mean, come on, if I'm making food, I'm going to shoo the cat away, go back and love on the kitty cat later. And I'm going to wash my hands because I touched the cat. And then I am going to re-sanitize my surface because the cat jumped up there. Not old Chantal. No, no, no. Then she starts to make the sandwiches, right? And you know she can't resist sampling the cheese as she's making the sandwiches. So she is eating right over the sandwiches that she's making. You know how she's... So she's got her fingers to her mouth and everything. Still no hand washing. Continues to make the sandwiches. Now here's where it gets to where it's going to turn your stomach. She then proceeded to pick her nose. Now let me clarify. I don't mean just straight digging, but you know, if you're familiar with Foodie Beauty, why that's so hard for me to say, I'll never know. You're familiar with what she does. She, and she's constantly rubbing her nose, and it's a mess. Still no hand washing. Continues to make the sandwiches. Then, how does she wrap these sandwiches? In saran wrap. But if you remember, maybe a week ago, this is the same saran wrap she used to wrap raw chicken. And the chicken contaminated that whole roll. Because she set the chicken on there and took the whole roll and wrapped it around the chicken with her salmonella hands, mind you. So this saran wrap is probably already contaminated too. She was so wrong for making these sandwiches this way. So then, she's going to get in the car, and she can barely even get into the car, this rental car. She drives, she finds some homeless people, and she can't even get out of the car to give them the sandwiches. She just hollers out the window, "Do you want some sandwiches?" Not that you made, Chantal. No, thank you. So, later she gets back on the live stream, and people are really getting down on her in her chat about how filthy she was making these sandwiches. And she has the audacity to say, "Well, you do know that homeless people will get food out of dumpsters to eat." Okay, let me tell you a little something. I myself was homeless for 4.5 years, okay? And yes, I've eaten out of dumpsters. You know, I'm in a terrible financial situation. I still to this day have to do it at times, okay? But here's the thing. The food in the dumpster is wrapped up and it was made in a clean environment. And I have the choice if I want to get that or not. You knowing where it's, I choose to do it at, if need be. These people, and she just talking about she didn't want anything out of it. She wasn't looking for anything out of it. Then why did she have to do it on the live stream? If you genuinely want to help someone or do an act of charity, you don't look for a pat on the back. You don't do it publicly. The right hand doesn't let the left hand know what they're doing. When you live stream or talk about something you've done for someone less fortunate, it's because you're looking for pats on the back. Oh, you're so great. You're such a wonderful person. That was such a beautiful thing you did. No, it was wrong. Everything about this whole sandwich thing was wrong. I'm baffled. And to just insist that you were right, and you washed your hands earlier, and then she has the audacity to talk about how much she paid for this cheese that she gave out. What does that matter? If you didn't want to give it out, you shouldn't have gave it out. Bottom line. But homelessness, like I said, it's a cause that is very dear to my heart because, like I said, I was homeless for 4.5 years. Okay, and let me just say, just completely aside from Foodie Beauty, you would not believe the stuff people try to give you. Although we appreciate it, I had people giving me half-eaten sandwiches where you could actually see the teeth marks in the sandwiches. People give me open drinks that they had their mouths on. People clean out their pantries and give you the stale food. I've even had people give me moldy pizza. And actually, it's got a little mold on it, but maybe you can eat around it. Homeless people are people too. And they deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. There's there was a time where I got a box of chicken bones. Somebody actually gave me chicken bones and said, well, maybe you could find a little bit of meat left on these bones. Are you serious? Am I a dog? So now that I'm off my soapbox, went off on a little tangent there, I'm sorry. But anyways, let me know what you think about Foodie Beauty and her booger sandwiches. I'm interested to know how you feel about it. See you in the next one.